Does your wife nag you about your head forward posture? Maybe you looked in the mirror and you can't believe that you look like this. I bet you've tried everything and most of it is only temporary at best. What if I told you that you could improve your posture in just a few minutes every day? I'm going to show you why you have bad posture, and one of those reasons has blown the minds of several doctors that I've spoken with, why traditional treatments have failed, and what you can do in a few minutes every day at home to straighten out your posture. You ready to do this? Let's dive in. All right, let's get into it here. Why do you have bad posture? Well, there's 5 typical reasons most people have bad posture, and age is not one of them. The first one is sedentary lifestyle. Did you know that most people over the age of 60 sit in front of a TV or a computer for as much as 6.5 hours a day? That's a killer on your posture. You shorten the muscles on the outside, you shorten the muscles on the front of your leg, and what happens with that is that as these muscles here tighten, it pulls the body forward, giving you this posture. Horrible for your spine, horrible for your joints. The second reason is muscle weakness and imbalance. And the two go together because you see, the strength of your muscles is what keeps your balance good as far as flexibility. However, after we turn 30, from that point on, we lose about 0.8% of our muscle mass every decade. So if you're 60 years old, you've lost 24% of your muscle mass unless you've done something to maintain that. And that can be done through strength training by body weight, rubber bands, free weights, and also a diet that is less inflammatory but higher in protein. Joint stiffness. Joint stiffness is a third reason. And for that one, that can come from diet as well as lack of movement. When you get up and you move around, you are lubricating your joints with a natural fluid called synovial fluid. And that fluid lubricates your joints and it lubricates the disc in your spine. The more you move, the easier it is to move. And when you couple that with the muscle strength that you're going to do and the flexibility, the movement then takes less energy, which will give you more energy by doing that. The fourth one is poor ergonomics. Now, I know when I talk about ergonomics, what people think about is the placement of the computer, the TV, my desk, my chair. But what if I told you one of the key reasons for your poor posture are the shoes that are on your feet? And even the shoes that many doctors will recommend that you wear has a lot to do with poor posture. What am I talking about? Shoes that have thick, comfortable soles on them makes logical sense that if I'm walking on cushions, my feet will be more comfortable. And that is true. Arch supports in your shoes. Yes, they will help with sore arches, but we got to know the reason why your arches are actually sore. When shoes can't bend in the middle, that prevents the ankle from bending properly so that when you take a step forward, your toes can push you off and not the front of your thighs. If you watch most people, when their ankles cannot bend, they will lead with their nose when they walk, and you see how my head starts to go forward here. You're going to have problems on the front of your knees because the shins, all of your body weight, you see, when you tilt forward, your body weight is on the front side of your body, including your shins. So the calves become tight. You're more likely to have leg cramps at night, plantar fasciitis, Achilles tendonitis, shin splints, knee pain, and also mid-back and shoulder pain, all based on the shoes that you wear. I told you there'd be surprise here. And the last one is lack of awareness. We don't look in the mirror. We don't want to see what we look like in most cases. And if you're not aware that you're doing it, before long, you get in this position and you cannot get out of it. That's a major problem for that. And so what we want to do is to become more aware. Start moving more. I don't care if you walk around the block or walk around your house in the beginning, but get moving and move as best that you can. Find ways that you can do better strength training exercises. I mean, even if you pick up a jug of water, pick up a book, and just start to hand it over, use those muscles on a regular basis. Keep those joints moving so that you can keep them lubricated. Be sure, yes, we want desks and so forth and chairs that don't put us in bad positions, but We also don't want shoes that's going to mess us up as well. And last but not least, check yourself in the mirror each day. Make sure that you're standing upright, because that has health implications. Your heart, your ability to breathe, even into your digestive system. When your body is in this position, it changes everything on the inside, just like it changes everything on the outside. So let's move on to the second part. Part 2, why do traditional therapies fail? Well, number one that I see when I get people coming in from other therapies is they're handed a piece of paper, let's say for low back pain. And every person that has low back pain seems to get this same piece of paper. I'm not sure who created it in the beginning, but it always seems to be the same exercises for low back pain. The mistake with that is that when I see clients who come into my office with low back pain, rarely do I see the same cause for two people back to back. And the reason I say that is that when you look at low back pain, it's based on the fact of what the positioning of your pelvis is. So if the muscles in the inner thighs or the muscles on the front of your thighs are tight, the pelvis will tilt forward, and that can cause low back pain when you stand up. However, if the muscles on the backside, like your hamstrings, and there's 3 of those on behind each leg, if those are tight, that'll tilt the pelvis backwards, and that'll cause back pain when you sit down. On top of that, there's muscles on each side of your pelvis here called tensor fasciae latae. They run from the hip joint to the top of your pelvis. And so every time you take a step forward, they expand, and as the leg comes behind you, they contract. If one of those goes into a spasm, the pelvis can tilt from right or left, and it can tilt so much that if somebody puts your ankles together, they may mistaken you of having one leg shorter than the other by as much as 1/2 inch. And it could be coming from one of these muscles here or here. And so that one size fit all, that, oh my gosh, if I had back pain, let's do these 4 exercises will stop your back pain, is limited at best as to how well that it can help you. Because if you don't fit that criteria, it's probably not going to be a success for you. Time constraints. If your thought process is that I have to go to someone's office and that's the only time they can work on my muscles, and I have limited amount of time that I can go visit that office, let's say once, twice, or 3 times a week, now I'm reduced to how much I can do with that. And what you want to be able to do is learn how to do the exercises at home or your office or on vacation. And remember that that's a daily thing. And even if you're doing somebody else's therapies, it's a daily thing, because everything you think, feel, and do affects the tightness of your muscles. And so the point here is that you want to be able to have control as to how tight or how loose your muscles are. Temporary fixes. I see plenty of people come in with knee braces and ankle braces and elbow braces and orthotics in their shoes and so forth. And those at best are temporary fixes. Yes, the arch of my foot is sore, so if I put an orthotic in, prevents my arch from flexing down the way it's supposed to, now I stop my arch pain. If I put a brace on my knee, but I limit the amount of movement on my knee, I can slow down my knee pain when I want to do the things that I want to do. What we're not thinking about here is that if I change the way the knee moves, now I put more pressure either on the ankle or on the hip going into the back. And so by putting that brace on my knee, I change the movement of the knee, I change the way I walk, and it will affect everything below and above the knee in your movement every day. For some people, when you have head forward posture or rounded shoulders and the shoulders look like that, the idea, and it seems logical on the surface, is that if I strengthen the muscles on the back side, I can pull my shoulders back this way. That's true temporarily. I mean, you could do seated lat rows, you could do bent over rows, and that would strengthen those muscles, and temporarily you can go from here to here. And the mistake I see most people make is you'll see them pull their shoulders back, but look where my head is with my shoulders pulled back. You haven't solved anything when you do that. Now, the question is once you strengthen these muscles, how long can you hold that? And the thing is, can you hold it for 8 hours a day? chances are that's not true. It's just like if I give you a dumbbell for 5 pounds and I say, hold this dumbbell, well, you can put it in your hand and hold it and it would be no problem at all. But if I said, hold that dumbbell out here, even though it's 5 pounds, how long could you hold it there before your arm would just fall down? That's the problem with temporary fixes. We have to understand what's causing this movement. And what's causing this movement is the tightness on the outside chest muscles here, causing the shoulder to round in. And here's a little caveat. You're never going to feel the pain here. You're going to feel the pain here. You're going to feel the pain here. You may feel the pain coming down your arm. You may feel the pain in between your shoulder blades if it's both sides. Because as you come here, you see, your head weighs 10 to 12 pounds up here. Every inch your head goes forward, the pressure back here increases by 10 pounds per inch. Ouch, that's a lot of pain. So before we can solve something on a more permanent basis, we have to know what caused it. On top of that, if the muscles on the front of your thighs are tight, if the calf muscles are tight, it's going to force you when you walk into this position for momentum so that you can go forward. So again, understanding what causes it will prevent it from being a temporary fix. And finally, the cost. If you're going to somebody to stretch you out on a regular basis, it's going to cost you. But more importantly, not only will it cost you, if you don't understand that you need to do this when you go home every day, and I suggest first thing in the morning, last thing of the day, spend about 15 or 20 minutes at a time, you're never going to solve the problem. Because if you don't understand how your brain works with your muscles and understand that the things you worry about, the things you stress about, even if it's getting to appointments on time, is going to tighten your muscles, even though you see someone 3 times a week, in between those visits, you're going to negate all the work they did for you. And besides, if you're stretching or somebody's stretching you, you have to let go. You have to know how to let go. They cannot do it. I cannot even do it. And the point is that no matter how much I try to stretch somebody on my own, when I'm stretching their muscles on my table, I can feel when their brain says, that's enough. And it stops right there. So the person laying on the table, which is you, has to be taught when to breathe out, when to let go so that those muscles can let go. So then we'll move on to the third section. Okay, section number 3, practical strategies for improving yourself at home. What are the things you can do at home on a daily basis that's going to help you do that? Let's start with strength training. That's always an important thing to deal with there. So when you're dealing with strength training, you can go to a gym, which is fine, and work out with free weights there. A lot of times people go to gyms and they think they have to lift a ton of weight. That is not true. You can do a lot with 10, 15, 20, 25 pounds. You don't really need to get into 45, 50 pounds and 100-pound dumbbells unless you're trying to be in some sort of an athletic competition and you need that additional strength. What we're talking about here is how to bring your groceries in from the car, how to get dressed every day, how to pick up things you're going to do gardening in your backyard or move things around in your house, or in some people's cases, how to just get up out of a chair every day, okay? So there's a few things that you can do that you can start to help yourself do that. Now, for those of you who are really in a weakened state, sitting in a chair where you can just sit down and then stand right back up, maybe where you have to start. And there's nothing wrong with that. What I would suggest doing if you find yourself when you sit in a chair that you need to push with your hands to push yourself back up, start out with a chair that has handles. But what I want you to do with that is that as you sit in that chair, when you start to stand up, focus more on using the muscles in your thighs versus pushing with your hands. Let your hands kind of be a guide in the beginning so that when you stand up, you don't fall down, okay? But over time, what you want is that when you go to stand up, you can just stand up without using your hands at all. In fact, you can even take your hands out to the side and just stand up just like that. And I know that sounds elementary, but there are people who that is a difficult thing to do, okay? Pick up something at your house. In this case, this is a kettlebell, weighs about 10 pounds. But if you picked up something like this and you can do both arms in the beginning, practice just lifting this way. And as you get stronger, where you can do, say, 3 sets of 10, lift it this way and coming right back up. And what that does is that helps to build the strength in your shoulders and in your arms. And I would start out maybe doing a set of up to 10. I mean, if you start out and you do 5, you do 6, that's okay. That's where you start. Don't worry about it. Nobody's keeping score here. But you want to work your way up to where you can pick that up 10 times in 3 sets. And as you do that, you'll start to notice the muscles up here will strengthen on you and you become a little bit stronger. You can even take something that weighs 5 or 10 pounds and just practice holding it out in your hand and see how long you can hold it. Count until the arm just finally comes down. That'll help to build stamina in your arms and in your shoulders as well. And like I said in one of my other videos, go in your kitchen, stand next to the counter. Practice where you can hold on to the counter in the beginning, lifting up on your toes so that you can strengthen your calves. Lift up again, and you can start to do that as well. Those are minor things you can do. Go to a gym. Find a trainer that works well with people, especially people over 50, to teach them how to just be strong in their day-to-day lives. Number 2, mindful movements. Now, mindful movements includes stretching as well. So, mindful movements is not trying to do something very abrupt or force your body into doing things. Keep in mind that your brain controls your muscles 100% of the time. If I do something like in stretching and I'm pulling too hard, my brain will contract the muscle to prevent the pain. This is what we're trying to stay away from. So doing things like yoga, doing things like Tai Chi or Qigong is a great way to do some cardiovascular things, but also some strength building things as well as a little bit of flexibility in it as well. When you do my stretch and release technique, it is based on using yoga straps and tennis balls. And what you're doing there is that as you start to stretch your body, let's say as you bring your arm across your body this way, it's not that I'm trying to force this muscle to let go. The mistake most people make in stretching is they think they're pulling the muscle like a piece of taffy. But what you're actually doing is releasing the tension. And to release the tension in the muscle, you have to release the tension in the brain. So thinking you can do this while you're talking on the phone with somebody, whether it's business or personal, or you're having thoughts about what you did an hour ago, what you're going to do an hour from now, your muscles will not let go because your brain does not let go. So I would start out in the beginning, practice breathing. Sit in a chair, any comfortable chair, close your eyes, and focus on just how you feel in that moment. For some of you, you may feel a little anxious in the beginning. Don't try to do it for long periods of time. You're not a monk. You're not going to do that. But focus on your breathing and just breathe out and let your body relax. Same thing is true in stretching. When you're stretching your body, your brain and your body has to be relaxed before that muscle is going to release that tension. Otherwise, that's not going to happen. Ergonomic adjustments. Find a chair that fits you. Now, all of us are different sizes. Even if we're the same height, some of us may have longer torsos than others, longer legs than others. So you have to try a chair out and see if it fits you. And the one thing I get from people all the time is, well, how do you do that? When you sit in a chair and you slide your hips back to the back of the chair, the seat of the chair itself should touch right behind your knees. And that lets you know the seat is the right length because everybody's thighs are different sizes. The back of the chair should come up to at least your shoulder blades and about halfway up your shoulder blades for support of the back as well. When you sit in that chair and your feet are flat on the floor, your thighs should be parallel to the floor. And that, because the thing is that if your thighs are not parallel to the floor, in other words, if the chair is too tall, you're going to put some pressure on the pelvis to tilt that pelvis forward, which could lead to back pain. If the chair is too short and you're taller, your knees will be setting up. In fact, look at most basketball players when they're doing interviews sitting in chairs, their knees are about 6 or 7 inches above their hips. When that's the case, the muscles up here tighten, and when they stand back up, they may have back stiffness from that. So that chair becomes important. The same thing is true in your car. Everybody buys a car. Let's say you buy a Chevrolet, whatever. And no matter what your size is, everybody gets the same seat. Now, there are adjustments on the seat where you can adjust the back up and down. What you want is the back to be more straighter, which means that the front of the neck has to be more flexible so the head can come up straight, the outside of the chest, so the chest can come out like it's supposed to. But when you sit in that chair, make sure the seat of the chair fits from your hips to right behind your knees. And when you have that, now you can sit more comfortably. Now, I talked earlier about shoes and how important that is. You want shoes that bend with your foot. Your foot has 29 muscles in each foot with 26 bones and 33 joints. You need a shoe that's flexible, that bends in the middle so that your ankles can bend, the joints in your feet can work, and the muscles in your feet won't atrophy. That way you'll have better balance. I don't care if you're 75, 80 years old, you'll have better balance when that happens. Fourthly, balanced lifestyle. Now, what does that mean? You can't be a daredevil and running around doing riskier things and think you're not going to get hurt. That's going to happen. But what you want is to be able to do the things you enjoy by taking care of your body. That means strength training. That means having flexibility. But it also means eating the right nutrition. Nutrition that's a high inflammatory diet. I'm talking about ultra processed foods. I'm talking about too many breads and pastas and white rices and so forth can cause inflammation in your joints, inflammation in your spine, which can cause pain, but it can even cause brain fog because they found that inflammation actually affects the brain as well, where you don't really think as sharp as you normally do. Having those things are important. Working with people in their 80s and 90s like I do, who've been very successful in their health, also have great relationships. Now, some of that's spouses, some of it's friends, but they have great relationships, people they can sit down and talk with and have fun with. That's a big part of the enjoyment of your life. So you have to have a balanced life. Run all day long is going to shorten your life and make your life not so good at the end. Number 5, consistency and patience. You didn't get here overnight. If you're over 50, you certainly didn't get here overnight. And the thing is that you've got to be consistent. Every single day, just like I say to my clients, I get up and I stretch in the morning and I stretch in the evening before I go to bed. The reason for that, when I wake up in the morning, my muscles can be tight if I had dreams at night or if I was rolling around in bed. So I need to free up my body, get the blood circulating, get my mind circulating so that I'm doing the right thing. In the evening, I've been running around all day taking care of people. I need to relax my body before going to bed so that I can sleep better. So my point here is that it takes a little bit of work on your part. And if you do it right and you focus on it as this is what you need to keep yourself healthy for a longer period of time in your life, this stuff works. I've seen it. I've worked with enough people in their 80s and 90s who've been successful that I've seen this kind of things work for them. They're not living sedentary lifestyles. Even though they're 90, 95, they're not weak in their muscles. Their joints aren't tight. They do things, they sit in chairs and they do things that are good for their bodies, comfortable for their bodies. And they're always aware, hyper aware, as to how the changes in their bodies happen. Yes, I know sometimes you can do things and as you get into your 40s and 50s, you go, oh my gosh, how did that happen? That's a lack of awareness. Be aware of how your body feels. Your body's telling you what it likes and doesn't like. If you eat a taco and it's bothering your digestive system, that's your digestive system. Hey, don't eat this stuff anymore. Be aware of what's happening. I'm telling you, your life will be great. For your posture, you do all these things, your posture will start to go from here to here with zero effort to stand that way. Everybody asks, how do I have such a good posture? I have this posture because I do this work every single day. You can too. Let me know in the comments how well it's working for you if you have any questions, because what we want is to get you to be healthier and happier. See you next time. Hey, if you enjoyed that video, please check out the next video to it. It's a great addition to what you just learned. And don't forget to subscribe. See you.